Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. We are 1 degree, and we are trying to move the consciousness of mankind 1 degree so that we can make a better place for all of us to live. My brother Reedy, and I am the I am Akashic, the Ancient of Days, and today we're going to talk about I think a tough topic sometimes for people to talk about. So yeah, we're going to talk about trauma, and we're going to talk about how some traumas go hidden, how to identify when you have a trauma, and how to deal with it. Now, I'm not prescribed to a one size fits all for anything because we are all unique beings in this creation. But we're just going to talk about some things that may have worked for us and that we think may work for you and that you can try. And yeah, so talk to me, bro.
How you doing, bro?
Man, I'm immaculate. How about you?
Fantastic, bro. Blessed beyond measure.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
Interesting that you brought up this topic, trauma. It's definitely something that I avoid, some traumas that I've had in my life. I guess I didn't realize that,
Hmm.
there's traumas that I've had. And let me start by saying that I'm no expert on this. I'm not a therapist or anything, but I
That's a
am.
great disclaimer for both of us.
I am. I am human. I am a being, and I have life experience. I'm
Hmm.
51 years old, going to be 52 this year, and definitely have had traumas that I'm realizing more and more as I get older, and especially as I'm more aware of myself and I'm seeking inward. I'm finding out things that I've, just dealt with in not the best ways. You know what I mean? Um, and trauma could be PTSD, something you can been in a car accident, something that happened
Hmm.
one time, and like my son had a bad car accident. Now he is the safest driver
Mm.
that you would ever ride with. Like it has affected him in the way he is in a car, and he prefers to drive because everybody else doesn't drive quite as safe as he does.
Hmm.
And there's that one time that caused that in him, and I hate that for him, but it's the positive is he drives really safely, which I don't worry about him when he's driving, and
Hmm.
I don't wish for anybody to be in an accident to get to that point,
Right,
but
right, right. Yeah.
it's definitely what caused it. And then you have traumas where you've been in bad relationships, for extended amount of times, or childhood trauma where you might have had, yeah, you might have had, neglect or abusive parents that you don't necessarily realize it as you're growing up. I know I had childhood trauma that I never realized was that. Like I always thought when I heard the term childhood trauma, I was like, the kid was molested or
Hmm.
beaten or, just severe neglect. And I'm thinking, like, my parents love me. I know they love me. You know what I mean? But definitely and even in me as a parent with my kids, I'm certain I've caused trauma for them, and they've gotten picked up things from me. And I had an angry dad. I was an angry dad a lot. Definitely not the person that I am now, but well, you've seen it change as much as anybody. But that definitely has affected them for sure. You know what I mean? And I had one son come out to me. I've talked about it here before, and I was a homophobic dad for sure. Caused trauma for him. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Which regretful on my part. I can't change that. We've moved on from that. He's forgiven me, and I've forgiven myself. Because I'm not that person anymore, and I'm never going to be that person. But it we don't realize that that we have these trauma in us sometimes, and it's if you I think it's you have to be more aware and pay attention to your reactions, and question, like, if I'm getting mad because this remote won't work the way I want it to work, it ain't that remote. It has nothing to do with it. This anger that I'm showing because this thing's not working fast as I want it to
Right.
has nothing to do with that moment and with that remote. There's got to be something more causing that reaction in me. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it is trauma that we're not even aware of. And there's great counselors and therapists out there, I think, that would help a lot of people. But I think ultimately what they do is help you figure it out yourself by talking and having you seek inward,
Hmm.
figure out, be aware of your emotions and why you're having them, and try to figure that out. And they definitely have techniques and tricks to help with that, I'm sure. But it's a tricks that we use like mindfulness and journaling and just being aware more than anything of our reactions and trying to figure out why you react that way. I
Yep.
definitely deal with those things, man. And I've read since you've brought up this topic, I definitely grew up fearful a lot. I had a lot of fear when I was a kid, and for a lot of reasons, you know what I mean? Some I don't even know. Honestly, it's going to take deeper reflection to figure out. But yeah, I grew up in a church that taught, you know, fire and brimstone, man. You're going to burn in hell if you do anything wrong, and that definitely that's definitely fear for a child. You know what I
Tex,
mean?
yeah.
You're a kid. You're gonna do stupid shit. Like I'm gonna burn for eternity because these bad choices I'm making. You know what I mean? I'm so human and I'm just like everybody else. So I'm gonna do silly shit, especially when I'm a kid. And you have this fear. I remember when I was very young. I probably told you this. I had a reoccurring dream where I was playing in the living room floor in the house that I grew up when I was really young, and somebody's beating at the door, and I turn around and there's flames and the devil. There's like glass at the top of the door so you can see out. I can see the devil and flames behind him. And I run and hide behind a chair, and he'd bust the door open, and I'd wake up. Just had this dream over and over again.
Mm,
And it affected me so much that when I would go to sleep at night, I would have to lay there with my eyes open until I couldn't stay awake anymore. And I'd start to doze and I'd wake up freaked out.
mm,
Just had so much fear in me. And looking at studying, there's a we have responses to trauma like fight or flight, and some of the things they were saying, flight response is like staying really busy, uh, like OCD, those kind of things. Just trying to, I don't know, avoid something you're afraid of that doesn't even really exist. You know what I mean? And upon reading this, I'm like, wow, this is me. And being a person that I don't fear many people because I can handle myself. You know what I mean? Not that I
mm.
want to, but I just mean I'm not afraid of somebody attacking me or something. But there's definitely fears that I have that like obviously caused me to act the way I do. You know what I mean? Or maybe
Mm.
it's things I'm worried that things are going to work out the way I want them to, or whatever it is. There's definitely that in me. It's less and less the more aware I've become. I feel like I'm getting pretty deep into this, but
You fine, man.
I I honestly I had nothing prepared to say. I've
That's the best time to talk.
just reading about it, and yeah, I definitely don't. I'm not a therapist, but I know that I have trauma, and I know that I have some of those responses that prove that, you know. And if we're aware of the way we are, we're reacting to things, and try to figure out why do I act like this? Why do I always have to be busy? Why am I always feeling like, okay, I've got this task and I need to do something else. Something else needs done. I got to get this done. Why is that? Why am I acting like that? You
All
know,
right.
what am I trying to avoid? You know what I mean? And it's usually
Mhm.
something in there that we gotta recognize and figure out what it is and deal with it and face it, and instead of reacting angry at a remote like a child throwing a fit, be an adult and use your intellect and intuition and seek inward and try to figure that out. You know what I mean? Which I definitely need to continue to work at for myself because I still have some of those moments. You know what I mean? And yeah, I want to get better at it. So this when you brought this topic up, it's uh, easy to resist trying to look at those things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I feel like I've come a long way, and then I'm proud of where I've come and had the changes that I've made. But I know there's still stuff in there that needs dealt with, and
Absolutely.
I'm probably for sure avoiding it. And there's probably things that I've blocked out of my mind that I need to dig out. You know what I mean? And talking about this kind of thing is how we do that. So I appreciate you coming up with this topic, man. And I know it's for me because, like I told you before, I'm selfish when it comes to this. I'm all on board with with helping the world and changing the world like we have, because I believe it's done.
Yeah.
This is also right smack dab in the middle of my journey, and I'm being very selfish and taking all that I can from this and the studies that I do on my own and picking your brain. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And this, you know, I don't, if anybody like knows me intimately like you do and my uncle and some other people, like it's hard for me to open up.
yeah,
So there'll probably be a segment in this video if I choose to do it where I'll may open up and kind of talk about some things. But a couple of things you said that really jogged my mind. One is that, man, the thing about it is that as parents, we don't realize the effect that we have on the kids, that they are sponges. They are taking in every single thing that we do and say, and they're using that to form reality. And so we get laxed when we need to be on every moment. And two, on the other side of it, as a kid, like you said, we we everything is just normal to us. Like I grew up in the ghetto and we had hot dogs and bologna every day as cereal. I can't eat those things now because we had them every day. But looking back at myself then, that was just normal. Like I didn't know that we were poor. I didn't know that nobody had roaches crawling on this in the kitchen. Like I just thought that that's just how life was. And then once you get out of that, you realize that, man, I grew up pretty rough. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
when you're going through it as a kid, you don't even realize it. When you have abusive parents or they're always yelling, you just think that that's normal. Like everybody fights like that. And then you take in that programming, and then years down the line, it surfaces because everything that you take in as a kid is like a seed, and it grows and grows and grows unless you pull that seed out. And then when it blooms, when you're older and you're in relationships and you're doing the yelling or you're yelling at the remote, it's like, like you said, where did that come from? And it came from all the seeds that our parents and that we did. Because if I had a redo as far as being a father, because nobody gives us a manual on how to do this, like we're all just doing the best that we can, and we're not mature enough to realize that it's not about us. And that's a huge thing. But I want to touch on something real fast and get your feedback on this. I'm going to tell this old Buddhist story that deals with trauma and the root of it. And it goes like this. There was these two monks, and they were aesthetics. Like they were totally, you know, don't talk to women, no sex. They only ate once a day, rice, no meat. They were strict Buddhist monks, and they were walking to another monastery, and they came across a stream. Now it had rained several days, and the stream was kind of flooded. So at the stream, there was a lady who needed to cross, and she was stuck. You know, she's not as strong as the monks, obviously, but she needed to get across. So the one monk grabbed the lady and carried her across the stream. And so all three of them crossed, and then he let the lady down and kept moving. Now the other monk, he couldn't believe it. He was just looking at her, like looking at him like, I can't believe you just touched a woman. Are you crazy? You know that's against our rules. I can't believe you did this. Oh my God, you did that. You did. How could you even break this? Just kept on and on and on and on. And then after a while, the other monk just turns. He had enough. He just turns and said, look, I left that lady at the stream. You're the one still carrying her.
oh wow,
So now what this represents is one monk is your conscious mind, the other monk is your subconscious mind. The lady represents your trauma. So we carry this trauma across the river of life. And then even when the trauma's gone, your subconscious mind can't let it go because it's implanted in there. So the subconscious mind will keep bringing it back up in your reality. This trauma keeps coming back, this trauma. And only until you, in awareness, the other monk says, stop. It's time to let this go. That's your conscious and your subconscious mind, they work differently. Your conscious mind works logically, so you can kind of let some things go, but your subconscious mind works off of emotions. And once you plant something in the subconscious mind emotionally, like you said, your son had an event and it changed his paradigm like that. Because high emotional events are like glue and they stick to you, whether it's high in a good way or high in a bad way. But mostly we dwell on negativity because of our sense of survival. So when something happens negative, it really sticks to you like glue. And it takes some work to let that go. So give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, those Buddhist stories, every one of them I hear just is just like that, man. It's very underrated religion in this country, man. We should all
It's
listen to
it's
these Buddhist
awesome.
stories. There's so many lessons in that, and yeah, that's for sure what you do. You hold on to things. That's attachment. You know, you're holding on to stuff that you got to figure out how to let go. And there's usually, I mean, a lot of times you feel like you need to, like the mistakes I made with my kid. I feel like I need to hold on to that because I feel guilt. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there's a lot of times there's a reason that you're doing it, but it's never good for you. You know what I mean? It's like it's like poison. I mean, if you keep reliving a moment that's over, it's affecting your now, your present, and every moment after that, your family, your happiness. It's stealing your joy when you hold on to those things, man. And it's stories like that making it so obvious. Like, yeah, why are you still talking about this? This is over, dude.
I
I'm
let
over
this
it.
lady go at the stream.
Yeah, yeah, great story, man. I love those Buddhist stories. That I've in this journey, I listen to a lot of Buddhist stories and stuff on YouTube, which YouTube is awesome. Like and subscribe,
Yeah.
share.
That's especially when you're watching things that's gonna make you better or to solve
Right,
problems.
right. Yeah. And I'm not even one that's into the shorts like most people are. They want to see little short clips. I'm
Mhm.
looking for the longest videos I can find because I listen
Yeah.
to them at work when I'm doing my job and just get lost in them.
Yeah, we had a comment on a guy said that like it was a video we shot and it was like 30 minutes. He's like, it's just a short podcast. He's like, I need more. And I was like,
Oh,
well,
wow.
you're one of the rare ones.
I like this
Everybody
guy.
else is like, man, 30 minutes, but they'll sit
Yeah.
and watch football games for 3 hours. But anyway, so
Right, right.
um so this is the thing is that one of the ways that I learned to change traumatic events inside myself is we briefly talked about it in last video is framing. So what you have to do is because your subconscious mind is an emotional being and the things that have happened to you good or bad are like glue, then they stick to you in the frame of how you were. So what you have to do is take this emotional event and reframe it. So you had um uh an emotional event. Let's say I ate a pizza and it was the worst pizza in the world and I threw up and I got food poisoning and blah blah blah. So instantly I don't like pizza no more. So now I've had a traumatic event and it's sticking to me like glue. Pizza, sick. Pizza, sick. Well, instead of that's my initial frame, but to change that, now I look at it as I learned a valuable lesson and I don't like this pizza brand, but the rest of them are phenomenal. Or I learned a very valuable lesson. I didn't do this, but now I understand that. So
Mm.
your framing is the way that you begin to chip that glue away. You have to go back first, recognize what it is, and then start reframing it as, you could have went through some type of an abuse, and you have to reframe it as life threw its hardest punch, and I'm still here. I survived, and now I'm a stronger person. I can do this. I've been through the worst. There's nothing that can break me now. So now you're reframing this negative thing and finding the silver lining in the thunderstorm. And that's the way you start to process these traumas, to turn them, to take what's bad and turn it for your good. So that's one way. And like I said, I'm not a subscriber to one size fits all, because everybody has something maybe different that will work for them, but that's what worked for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. I think that's probably gonna work for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, if I yeah, if I reframe things that seem to stick with me, you know what I mean? Like you're saying, and then how dare you use pizza as an example?
That's the first
Just
thing came to my head,
even
man.
even bad pizza is not that bad. I mean, who we kidding? It's the greatest food there is. No, but seriously, we do that, man. We do. We hold on to these things, and it's a once. It happened once. It's a one-time thing. It's not for everyone. You got through it. You, like you said, you're stronger because of it. And what did you learn? Maybe you changed the way you handle that type of situation. You know what I mean? Because you've learned that, okay, the way I handled that before didn't work out, and now I'm dealing with this trauma because of it. And I could have done things differently then. And knowing that moving forward, you do handle them differently. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And yeah, there's definitely not a one size fits all for trauma, and because we've all got different trauma, and we've all got different lives that we've experienced, but we definitely all have experienced it, and we've gotten through it. You know, we're still here,
Yeah.
like you said, and we're okay, and it's being present, being in the moment, and not living back there wherever that was that happened. And that's where all of our suffering is. It's we're either way back there, or we're worried about something that hasn't even happened yet, and this is the only reality that matters. And
Hmm.
the more you're here right now, and just looking at all the good, look for all the good. I do hate to sound like it. It's just be positive and everything will be good. Bad things are still going to happen, but it's like we talked about before. It's knowing that all things work together for my good. I know that whatever's happening is, if I saw the full GPS, I would know why I'm taking these turns that I don't think are the right way, and
Hmm.
why I have to go down this road, and trust that it's God's plan for me, and it's all going to be okay. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
but we do have to deal with those things, man. We because we react certain ways because of past traumas, and we got to recognize, and if we're aware, if we're paying attention to our reactions, and how we are, and how things affect us, we start thinking about why is it I'm like this? Why do I react like this? Why do I'm my wife's eating chips, and the sound of the chips are irritating me. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta be so loud. It's not those chips. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That doesn't happen at all. I love you, boo.
I know. It's an example.
But it is, I'm just saying that it's like the remote thing. It's not that. There's definitely more to me getting angry. It's like I've let some other things affect me, and I didn't deal with them.
Yeah.
I mean, so sometimes you got to do you have to reflect. It's not like you can constantly stay in the moment, as easy as that sounds. But when we dwell on the past, and we don't forgive ourselves, and we don't learn the lesson from whatever it was, and know that we're better because of it, and move forward, yeah, you're feeding yourself poison, and then you're stuck.
Yeah. And like this is one of the huge reasons that I definitely need people to understand is that the reason why like we're telling you to go deal with your traumas is because not dealing with these traumas is holding you back, especially when it comes to manifestation. Because I know a woman who wants to be married. She that she talks about being married all the time and all this other stuff, but she doesn't like sex. And the reason why, which she hasn't disclosed, but I've discerned, is that something happened traumatically in her past. And so she's saying, I want a husband. I want a husband. But this traumatic event is sending out a totally different signal. It's saying, no, 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 no. I don't like that. I don't want that. So she's sending mixed signals to the universe, even though she may really want a good, loving Christian husband, as she says, but she hasn't dealt with this trauma. So this trauma is sending out a beacon that's pushing against what she's saying that she wants. And because that traumatic event has an emotional pulse, it's overriding what
Mm.
she's saying. So she needs to go in and deal with this trauma, which I would never force her to do it. But if she ever came to me, and said, "Hey, I want to work through this," and I would definitely offer my counsel to do that, or go to somebody who gets paid to do it or whatever. But I mean, I do have some knowledge about it. But so that's one reason why. And I don't usually do this, but for me personally, um, I was in a very, very toxic type relationship in my late 20s. And I got out of it. I mean, it took some years, but I finally worked my way out of it. But because of that relationship and the trauma that initiated it, is that I find myself even today having triggers. And so like for me, it's hard to be vulnerable. It's hard for me to open up because when I did at that particular time, it was met with force. And so now, like when somebody says, I miss you or I love you or something like that, I find myself saying something stupid like, "Oh, no, you don't." Because it's a defense mechanism to like, okay, switch subjects. Oh my God, I'm vulnerable. I can't say this back, whatever. Like I close in and I shut it off real fast. And like, even like with my phone, in this toxic relationship, she would grab my phone and go through it. I know you're cheating and blah, blah, blah. And it just affected me so bad that now, like, I mean, you can go through my phone all you want. I don't even care because you're not going to find nothing because there's nothing on there. But because of that, that's a trigger for me. Somebody's trying to control me. Somebody's trying to control me. So anytime like I'm with somebody or something and they grab from my phone, I'm instantly jump. So I am working through that trauma, one because it's holding me back in relationships, and two because I want to be a complete person for the universe to use as a tool. And as long as I'm emitting a negative beacon of some type of sort, then the universe can't use me totally. And I want the universe. So my trauma is being not is I have a problem being vulnerable. I like to control everything. It's probably one of the reasons why I stopped drinking alcohol so early in my life. But I don't like not being out of control. I don't like not controlling the narrative. I struggle with being vulnerable. I understand this. I'm dealing with it little by little. I'm getting better. I'm loosening up. I'm understanding that not everybody's trying to find a space in my heart to jab me. So
Mm.
it's definitely something that, even if the littlest things, it's sending out a beacon because it's so emotionally pulsating that it's going to affect you in subtle ways that you don't even know. So this is why this is so important, Jay. And I didn't mean to open up like that, but here we go. We're here now.
No, hey, man, knowing you like I do, that took a lot for you to
It
talk
did.
about on this platform. But it shows how much you've grown and how far you've come, man. So you're
Absolutely. I
definitely heading
appreciate
down the
that, Jay.
right
Love you,
path.
bro.
I love you too, brother. That's good. I think that's important that you're able to talk about it now because I know it is hard for you, and it's hard for me too, man. It's hard for me to talk about those kind of things. Talking about my childhood. I love
Yeah.
my parents to death. They were awesome parents. They made mistakes, but they were kids that didn't know any better, and that stuff is brought down from generation to generation. There's trauma that follows generations.
Oh my God,
You know
you
what I
just
mean?
you said a mouthful there.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't hold them I mean, did they play a part in it? For sure, but they did everything they did out of love. Dad was tough on me and made me tough because he grew up in a very tough environment.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And he figured, I better make this boy tough because life is hard. And I appreciate him for that. But, I definitely have trauma because of it. I worry about letting people down and not being good enough and not, you know, yeah, just disappointing.
Hmm.
My dad ultimately, who is so proud of me that I have no reason to feel that way anymore, you know what I mean? But it still affects me to this day, and I got to deal with those things. And I know how hard it is to talk about these things. That's why, man, that was awesome.
Yeah,
That
and this
was,
this is definitely something that was needed, man. And sometimes, you have to go through the tough times to get on the other side of the valley. And it's just part of it. And we
yeah,
all have it and we're all dealing with it. And hopefully, by us being vulnerable, it will help some other people in however ways they need. And if you have any questions, definitely leave questions or comments, and we respond to all of them. And yeah, I think we're going to close up there. Hopefully, we given you one way to kind of deal with your traumas by reframing. There are other ways. There are trained professionals, and whatever you need to break these blocks. By all means, we encourage you to take them. But we're going to end it right there. And this was very powerful and it's very,
yeah.
very deep. And we appreciate everybody for tuning in. This one went a little longer than we usually go, but it was needed and it is what it is. But anyway, until we meet again, 1 degree.